Welcome back to Games That We Missed Out On. This month's video is brought to you by Stadia, the next generation console gaming experience that is backed by Google. That means that there is absolutely no way possible that this thing right here can fail. There's just no way. For some unknown reason, the late 80s was ripe with underwater horror movies. Let me see, there was Deep Star 6, which from what I remember got lots of promo time on TV. The director of Friday the 13th was also behind this movie. Those were the good old days. Then there was Leviathan, which came into production first, but came out after Deep Star 6. Both movies relied heavily on horror and gore, with both having some graphic scenes of death. Lords of the Deep followed, then it was Little Mermaid, followed by The Rift in 1990, and then in the spring of that same year, The Abyss. That one specifically not only had the biggest budget of them all, with filming all done in actual underwater environments, but it had one of the scariest monsters ever to be faced by its movie stars as well. Director James Cameron. I am taking a look at Deep Fear. It was developed by System Satcom and Sega SC2 and published by Sega. It consists of 2 discs and was released in Japan in July of 1998, followed shortly after that in Europe and in the UK, but unfortunately never in the US. Now, why is that? Now, most likely since the Saturn was performing so poorly here in the US, and on top of that, the release of a game so late in the Saturn's lifetime overall, it's safe to assume that Sega just didn't want to invest money and time for a failed system when the Dreamcast was just around the corner. Looking at the game now, you'd figure that I mentioned the movies at the beginning to tie the game to possible inspiration being taken from them. But I only did so to show the similar environments both this game and movie had to one another, plus the fact that we never really got a good underwater horror game. Strangely enough, the movie The Thing was more of an inspiration by the developing team than any of those other movies that I mentioned, with them trying to mimic the gameplay of the popular Resident Evil. Now, for those out there that have never played this game, a space capsule that was missing for many years is found on the ocean floor by a US Navy submarine. However, the submarine loses contact after that, and you find yourself in control of John Mayer, a member of the Underwater Emergency Rescue Group who happens to be suffering from a cold. Now, you might be asking yourself, why single out on such a pointless detail? Just wait.
Chief!
You don't have to yell, Mookie. I can hear you just fine.
It's an emergency! Sharon's drowning in the E-pool! Come quickly!
Once there, you are introduced
I'll be right there.
to some of the worst voice acting to ever grace any game. It is so bad that it's good. Just listen.
What's going on?
April Fools! Did you forget it's April Fool's Day?
You know, we don't have time for these fun and games.
Sorry, Chief. The mood around the big table had been kinda stuffy lately, so I had to play a joke before going crazy.
What do you mean, stuffy?
You were just transferred here a week ago, so you may not have noticed, but it's been especially stuffy lately. The Army people have been really uptight.
You can't do worse than that. You just can't. It's impossible. Funny part is that the entire dialogue, it's in English, with the subtitles in Japanese if needed. There is no unlockable option to have them speak Japanese. Another thing you will notice is the almost rigid character designs and animations. Now, I understand that for the most part, this was the norm back then, but looking back at it now, it just doesn't look very good. You know, I've had nightmares that resemble this type of animation. But when you mix in the horrible dialogue and those drawn-out cutscenes, the game just hits a whole new level of awesomeness.
There's no problem with my CFOX system. No accident should have occurred. Ooh!
We can't get through on the wireless to either the CFOX or the Navy area. We have no idea what's going on over there.
This is terrible. My masterpiece is ruined. Oh, what am I gonna do?
So after boarding the station, you soon encounter someone who is begging for death before turning into a monster. Wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Hey, you okay?
So familiar.
Kill me, please.
What?
Kill me, please.
Working with the military, you decide to board the submarine after finding out that there is someone alive inside of it and it's activating missiles that pose a serious danger to all. After working with a SEAL team that is tasked with containing the spread of whatever it is that's infecting everyone, you come to find out that your cold is preventing whatever virus is causing this outbreak from infecting you. See, I told you that little detail was gonna work itself into the video.
ERS, what happened?
Everyone's dead from the strange disease. Hell, I might have caught it too.
There's a submarine at the hatch waiting for you.
What about you?
I have some things to do in the back.
Be careful. The air in a ship is dangerous from fires. Use the regulator when the air doesn't clear things up.
Okay, thanks.
Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, since someone out there might be interested in actually playing this game. Hey look, there's a fan now. Yeah, I see you.
I love the fear.
Yeah, good for you, pal. But how is the gameplay? Is it fun? Well, let's cover that next. You take Resident Evil, you place it underwater, and voila, Deep Fear. Thank you all for watching. Now, if you haven't played Resident Evil, then the isometric view and tank-like controls, they're all gonna feel somewhat similar. If you're not a fan of these type of controls, then you might want to avoid this game. It's the same thing here. Pressing up or down will move your character in one direction, and when changing angles, you're gonna continue to press in that direction to continue moving. So, pressing up might mean moving your character down in the screen. Now, it only takes a few minutes to get used to it, and somehow, I still end up running into walls like a drunk weekend hamster 2 hours into the game. One thing I did notice right away, no fast turn option. At least, not any that I can figure out doing while playing. Now, I did check the manual, and the only thing that it mentions is a back hop, which, if it's real, I can't seem to do it. Yeah, no, there's no back hop here. Back hop my ass. You can hold the B button to dash, or you can walk everywhere. The good thing is that if you do decide to walk everywhere, then the length of the game extends by, oh, I don't know, 100 hours, probably. Good thing is that I found an unreleased beta ISO that plays the game at regular NTSC speed, making it a much smoother experience. You're still gonna want to run at all times, and the reason for this is a unique feature that this game has when compared to Resident Evil. This number right here represents the amount of breathable air in the area. It slowly counts down, and once it reaches 20, it turns red. If it reaches 0, then your air meter starts to deplete, followed by your health. And once this happens, it is game over unless you find an air system station. These units are scattered about the base and will bring up your air level up to 70 on most sections of the game, but 70 is the highest. It also has the R charge option, which replenishes your air meter after it has gone down from the lack of air in the area, but that is only available once you find a regulator thingamabob here. However, this system has also another useful feature. You can save your game at these stations, so do so whenever possible, because your weapons here, they suck for the most part. And you will die many times if you suck like me. You also got health spray cans you can find along the way. Now there are 3 types, blue, orange, and red. The blue ones replenish a bit of health, the orange ones act like 2 of the blue health sprays, and the red replenishes all the health. The good part is that for some reason you can stock up to 8 cans of each at a time. If you find a large med kit in one of the rooms, you can always stock up to the maximum of whatever color first aid spray is inside that kit. And yet somehow I still find a way to die. God, I suck. The weapon system here, it's a bit odd. They are not found or stored in the same screen as your items. They are accessed via another option in the menu titled, get this, Weapons. I would like to thank the Deep Fear fact I read for this info. You can select your weapons and then exit that screen to have it equipped. When you press the right trigger button, your character goes into a shooting stance. Now you don't have to hold the R button the entire time. Your character will stay with the gun out until you press the R trigger again, letting you shoot and even run while holding your weapon out and even shooting while running. It's very helpful indeed. And yet I still die. There are a few, but very few ammo clips or anything of that sort lying around. You replenish your ammo mainly by going to these weapon lockers found scattered about. You can just stock up to your heart's content on these, and it's an odd system, that's for sure, but once you get used to it, it kind of takes the pressure off the whole survival horror, since scarce ammo is one integral part to that whole experience. It helps though, since your gun's aiming and hitbox detection on them all suck. The shooting sound effects here are almost as bad as the actors delivering their lines. I said almost. You also get grenades, so yeah, I couldn't figure out how to use them. You also got plenty of items you will need to find to progress further into the games. Keys, chemical vials, you name it. The game is not linear by definition, but it does feel like it. Areas are small and consist of a few rooms across a couple of floors. There will be a few not accessible, and after backtracking a few times, you're gonna gain access to them, which will let you get an item that will let you get to the next area, and then rinse and repeat. The map colors will also give you an idea of what sort of status the room is currently in. For example, green means traversed, blue means it is flooded, yellow means there is poison in the air, and blinking pink means that that is your current location. Once you get the regulator, the flooded and poison rooms won't really matter since your character will put on the regulator to avoid death once he walks into them automatically. It also helps in rooms with no air since it causes your meter to deplete slower than before. Let's go over the music. There's not a lot of it, really. The music in Deep Fear is kept to a minimum since the producers of the game wanted ambience to take lead in creating an eerie type setting for the player. Music will pop up during cutscenes and boss encounters for the most part, adding to the heightened tense situation.
Stella. It can't be.
So what's my personal experience with the game? Well, Deep Fear is a game that I had heard about for years, but I never sat down to play it until the making of this video. This here is what 90s horror survival games were all about. The menus, the control scheme, the real cheesy storyline, those stiff animation characters, the voice acting. Having played all the early Resident Evil games, I felt at home with this title. It didn't feel odd. It did feel sluggish overall, but that's because I was playing the European version, which meant it was designed for PAL regions. It got more fun once I got my hands on the NTSC ISO, which plays much faster. The game is basically doing a lot of backtracking to retrieve items or talk to someone to trigger a cutscene. It feels a bit more linear than Resident Evil to me, only because of the setting. I felt that the ammo mechanic that the game uses kind of dumps down the survival aspect. Same with the ability to get unlimited first aid spray cans as long as you know where the kit is located at. There's also a section in the game where you will have unlimited chances to use a chemical mixer to create all 3 types of first aid spray cans until you max out. But that doesn't make the game any easier. It's no walkthrough. You gotta keep an eye on your air meter and health because that will creep up on you before you know it. The part that annoyed me the most was the aiming. I felt like there were times that the monster was right in front of me, but because I was just a few degrees off in my angle, I got no hits. This meant that there were times I took damage when I should not have, and that meant that I would die and get knocked back a long way. And that made me walk away a few times before I could come back to it and get back to that same point in the game. I am just getting to disc 2 just now as I am wrapping up this video, but if you've never played this game or you just want a different angle to the old Resident Evil survival horror style from the old days, give this one a try. It's a good game as long as you can get past those awful tank-like controls and the not so great aiming mechanic. Oh, let's not forget the amazing voice acting.
Whoa, your boyfriend? Just kidding.
Danny, there's a monster. We have to shut off this area.
What was it this time? Another mermaid?
It's true. I saw it.
If Deep Fear is up your alley and you're looking for more of that same style of gameplay and story, try Carrier on the Dreamcast or even Blue Stinger. Hope you all enjoyed this look at a Saturn game that most here missed out on. Would this game have helped Saturn sales had it been released here in the States? Absolutely not. Remember, this is 1990 Sega we're talking. They couldn't figure out how to get wet if they were dropped in the middle of the ocean. Oh Sega. We still love you though. Until next video, keep watching, keep gaming, and as always, take care of yourselves.
Big hitter Mookie is safe at home.
Mookie, we have to go again.
What?